Okay, we're now going to embark on the final video of this whole set. This would be BP 2D20, and this is going to show you how you produce a layout that will pull together all the material that we've got here in model space into one layout, but have different viewports with content at different scales. So let's go for a brand new layout. Okay, we'll click on the plus sign and then we'll go to that layout. Okay, it automatically generates a single viewport for you to use. So we'll keep that, but we'll straight away put that onto our viewports layer. So we click on the edge of the viewport, go to the home ribbon, find the viewports layer, which is near the bottom of the list here. Okay, and escape. So I'm going to go for a much larger piece of paper this time, so I can have larger scale items thereon. So I'm going to right click layout 1, go to page setup manager. At the moment it's set to just an A4 and it will use a PDF printer, so none of that is suitable. So I want to modify my layout. I'm going to choose the DWG to PDF printer, and I'm going to choose an ISO A1 piece of paper, ISO A1. Okay, we'll be plotting the layout. It's going to be 1:1 in the layout so that I end up with a piece of A1 generated. I need to assign my pen settings file, black and color, and because I've set a couple of layers to show transparency, and this is the shadows and the 2D fill, I need to activate the transparency, otherwise they won't work. Okay, and I'm going to go for a portrait orientation, so it's a bit more like a poster. Click OK and close. Okay, so we've got a far bigger piece of paper now. So let's see what we can do with this. Let's click on the viewport and we'll make this probably about half the size of the piece of paper. So I'm just dragging the corners of the viewport, then double click inside there. Okay, I'm going to make this the primary view, so this is going to have the plan in it. Okay, so click and hold the middle mouse button to pull the view into the middle. Let's get in a bit closer. Okay, and then we'll try and set this to scale. So we'll use 1:100 here, and this fits nicely on the A1. So what you're looking for is a kind of a balance at the side of the screen. I want the margins to be about the same, so a little bit more to the left should center that object. Okay, double click outside and we'll turn the O-snaps off and orthos already off, and we'll bring the viewport to fit the contents. Okay, so we'll click on the viewport and we'll bring it in so that it's a bit closer to the contents. It makes arranging things in the layout a bit easier if you don't have huge viewports. Okay, double click outside, escape, double click outside. Okay, I can't really see the dashed lines showing up there. It might just need a regeneration, so let's try that first. A command called regen all, R-E-G-E-N-A-L-L. That's all it needed. Okay, so the line type scale was okay, it just needed a kick to make it show the dashed line types. Okay, now let's have a viewport sitting above that that's got the elevation in it. So we copy the viewport. Okay, so this doesn't duplicate the number of objects, it just makes an extra view of model space. So I'm copying, put ortho on so that the elevation is going to sit properly above the plan, so you can understand how the two go together. Okay, then we double click inside the upper viewport, and this is when we can use the -P command again. We've used this already. -P lets you pan in a more controlled manner. So -P and return, orthos on, just click, go downwards and click again. The elevation's starting to come into view. Just repeat that. Okay, we can bring that down a little bit further. Okay, now I'm going to go outside the viewport and bring the viewport down till it's just above the trees. Okay, so that's looking tidy. We're missing the person. Do we want to enlarge the viewport? We could do. We've got a bit of space either side. We could make this a little bit bigger to see a bit more ground and a bit more tree, and also reveals the human figure as well. So we'll escape that. Now let's have the elevation sitting at the very top of our display here. So we'll move both of these items upwards. Orthos on keeps everything still in line. Okay, and because I didn't zoom in, because I used the -P command when I set up this viewport, it's kept the scale. You could just check that by going into the viewport and making sure it's a nice round number here. Double click outside. Okay, the third viewport is going to have the section but at a larger scale. So we'll copy this viewport, bring it down, okay, go into that viewport, and let's have a look at where the section is. Remember, the section was drawn aligned to its section line. When we print it out, we want the section to be facing us, side to side normally. So remember, we changed the coordinate system. So we can do this on a per viewport basis. So the command is UCS and return. We use the object option, and I want to pick this line. Okay, so X is going to run that way, Y is going to run this way. Now do plan and return twice. Okay, it's zoomed extents as it always will. Okay, but we can zoom in now on the section. Okay, and then set the section to scale. So let's go for a 1:50 here. That's fitting okay. We've got a bit of space here, we could see more trees. So let's get a bit closer in. Let's zoom in. Okay, so let's enlarge the viewport. Give it a bit more height. Now go into the viewport and hold your middle mouse button, and we'll pull the viewport across. So I'm just going to tuck it to the side. Okay, I'm trying to end up with enough space over here to have a site, the aerial site plan as well. Okay, so double click outside. We've got plenty of space here at the side. We could move the viewport across, so I can just create a bit more space over here. Click on the viewport edge, and let's bring that in a bit until it just clips the edge of the shading. Okay, looking good. Now, we've been copying viewports all the time. If you want to just create another viewport, you can, and we use the mview command for that, and that shortens to MV, make view. Okay, you just click and drag, and that's going to generate a viewport. Okay, put it onto the viewports layer, just be methodical. Let's try that again. Viewports. Okay. And now we want to set this viewport to scale. So double click inside it, zoom in on the building, and then we set the scale. Now I want a scale that isn't on this list. Okay, so I'm going to type it in instead. I think I showed you this already. We do Z, return, 1 / and then it's the scale you want. So if I want to 1 to 1000, I type in 1000 now. 1000. but you must add the letters XP at the end, so it becomes an exponential, becomes a fraction. So it'd be 1/1000th of life size. Press enter. You should see some reaction in the viewport. That's it set to scale. You can see here that we've got a decimal number. 0.001 is 1/1000th of 1. So that's the scale. Double click outside. Okay, while we're dealing with this aerial plan here, let's try and create a north point. Okay, now we know the north direction for this view is straight up, but the plan here is rotated quite a lot. It's turned anti-clockwise by about 100 degrees. Okay, so let's use the building here to set the angle. So if I draw a line, turn ortho off, that's going to help me establish the angle. So I've got a line here, and I'm just going to move it out of harm's way just now and just drop it here. Okay, so the difference between a horizontal line here and that is the amount that this plan has been rotated. Okay, what we need now is some titles. Okay, and the first thing you need to do is create a style for your text. So we use the command ST and return. And we'll create a new style. We'll call it annotate. And OK. I'm happy to use the Arial font. Don't change the height, because that makes it more difficult to tweak things later if you fix a height with the style. The width factor can stay at 1. Everything's fine. Set current and close. Okay, so we want a hierarchy in the text. We have a main title, titles per drawing, and then subtitles, perhaps the scale of the drawing. Okay, so let's start with the main title. We want to be on a layer that we can control the text. So let's use our annotate layer. And we use, if it's individual pieces of titling, then the command DT will work fine, dynamic text. So DT return, pick a start point for the text. I'm going to do the main sheet title at 14 millimeters. Doesn't sound much, but actually it's quite big. So the text height will be 14, the rotation angle will be 0, so just press enter, and then it's asking me to type what I need to put in. So whenever you're adding text to a drawing, always use uppercase. That way if a drawing gets reduced on a photocopier, for instance, the text will still be legible. Okay, Barcelona Pavilion. Press enter and it will go down one line, and I'm going to type in the name of the architect, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. Spell that right? Okay, press return and return again to stop the command. Now this piece of text is too big. I want this to be much smaller. So I'm going to change this piece of text. So if you do the change command or properties, so you can either use CH or PR. So let's go for PR and return. I'll bring the properties panel onto the screen. Click the piece of text and we'll change the height to height of 5. Okay, close the properties panel and escape. We can then move the piece of text a bit closer. Looks much tidier when you deal with your text properly, and we can move both pieces of text into a more sensible position. Excuse me. Okay, now we'll place some more titles. So let's have a title for the section. So use the dtext command, this time a height of 10 millimeters, rotation angle 0, and this is section XX apostrophe. Return, and this is at scale 1 to 50. Return twice. Okay, let's change the height of this piece of text. We could match it to this one. Match properties, pick the piece of text, pick this piece of text. It doesn't change the text, it just changes the size of the text. So we can now move that with ortho on. Okay, now I don't want to go and do that every time, do that scaling. What I can do now is copy these two bits of text together and then edit them. So take ortho off, copy, CP, pick the two bits of text and return. Base point can be anywhere, and we then want to place these in careful position relative to the drawing. The text can sit on top of the viewport edge, that's not a problem. Okay, now from here it would be tidy if the text above was directly above this one. So I'm going to put ortho on. I've escaped there, put ortho on, CP, return, pick these two bits of text, return, base point anywhere, and we'll have that one directly above. So that does look more considered and tidier. Okay, and we just need to change the titles now. So this is the east elevation. It's not at 1 to 50, this is a 1 to 100. Okay, this is the plan, and this again is at 1 to 100. Okay, this is an aerial, well, let's just call it site plan. And this was at 1 to 1000. So all I'm doing there is just double clicking the object and it lets me edit it. Okay, I'm going to copy this word scale 1 to 100, take ortho off, pick a base point anywhere, and I'm going to place the letters just next to these markers. Okay, change this to X apostrophe, and then we copy that piece of text with ortho on, drag it up and place it above the other marker. So this one just gets rid of the apostrophe. So people know then the direction that this section is being read in. It goes from X to X apostrophe. Okay, we could do with some annotation on the actual plan. You tend not to have much chance to put stuff on sections, but the plan usually gets annotated. So we'll use the DT command and watch what happens here. I'm going to do this slightly differently. So we pick a start point and I'm going to use a height of 3 millimeters for this text, rotation angle of 0. Okay, so this is the statue base. Okay, now instead of continuing with the text, I'm just going to click somewhere else. So that piece of text will stay there. If I just click here, I can carry on adding notation. So this is the exhibition space and lounge. Okay, this is a small pool. The entrance is here, so let's have the word entrance. Okay, we want the word up here. We're going to add an arrow for the steps to go up the steps. This is the reflection pool. we've got a seat here, marble seat, and this is, you know, an office space and a flat in a way. Okay, now return twice, and that's the text placed. If you need to do any small adjustments in the text position, now's the time to do it. Okay, I'm placing the text so it's not taking over the drawing, and looking for alignment, so that's kind of centered there. Just a little bit of care makes a big difference. Let's maybe put this in line with the statue base so people know that it relates to that. Okay, so it's very easy to annotate. Make sure you get your spelling correct. So let's create an arrow on here. So we want our object snaps on now, and midpoint will be useful. So I'm going to draw an arrow from midpoint to midpoint, but the arrow head I'm going to draw as a polyline. PL, return from midpoint, and now I want to change the width. I want a fatter line. So I type in W and return. Starting width 2.5, return. Ending width 2.5, so just press return again. Okay, so we get a much thicker line. Okay, watch that you don't click on anything. Okay, mirror that using your object snaps, and then fillet this together, and you'll end up with a very chunky graphic arrow. Quite architectural, looks very tidy. Okay, we can use that arrow in a few places. Turn your snaps off, and we can copy the arrow over to here and use it to show the entrance to the building. Okay, if I rotate it, rotation will be 180 degrees. Break off some of the line, it's a bit long, and then place the piece of text so that it's related to the arrow. Okay, these look quite tidy. We could use the arrow for a north point. So let's copy the arrow down to here. Okay, let's rotate it. If we put ortho on, we can rotate it to get it vertical. I'm going to draw a circle on the nearest point on there. I'm just going to put a circle there to trap the arrow and just break off the bottom of it. Let's copy one of our bits of text into there. Take ortho off, and we'll rename that to north. And that's pretty well centered, that was a bit lucky. Okay, maybe move it up so it looks like it's a cross. Okay, very simple, north point. So let's copy this and have it just at the other side of the plan here. Okay, then we want the north arrow for the main plan as well. And remember, the plan is rotated about 110 degrees. Okay, so let's firstly put the north arrow that's left. Let's place it on the end of this line. Move everything over here just now. Rotate the north point by 90 degrees. Got to try and get this right. Okay, so put ortho on, rotate it so it's pointing to the east. Okay, now for this plan, if we rotate all of this by this angle, we should have the north point in the right place. Okay, so let's try and work this out. So it's rotate, RO, return, grab everything, return. The base point of the rotation is here. We want to do a reference rotation because we don't know the angle. The reference rotation is on this line, so it's from end point to end point, and that's taken it too far. We're 90 degrees too far, aren't we? Yeah, so let's just go with it. Okay, we want it to be 90 degrees back this way. Thought something wasn't right there. So we rotate this item by 90 degrees. That's more like it. Okay, and this line's done its job. It can be deleted, and then we can move the second north point across to the plan and place it just next to the title. Okay, so people know then that, you know, this is the true orientation, you know, with north-south, and this is the way the building actually sits. Okay, so that basically pulls everything together. So you can see one layout can hold lots of different scales, and it makes it much more interesting and dynamic. Let's check things are working properly with a print preview. So if we right click layout 1, let's rename this. So this is an A1, and generally it's at 1 to 100 scale. Okay, you might say portrait there. You might add the word portrait so people know, so you remember which way up the sheet is. Okay, if you right click that, do plot and preview, and the viewports all disappear. The space starts flowing around the drawings, and it's the space that kind of ties everything together. The site plan's looking nice and crisp. Okay, the elevation's got all its detail. The shadows are working transparently. So it's looking good. This is what you need your print preview to check your spelling and everything. Don't let things go through without a check. Okay, the line weights are looking good. They're not too heavy. Okay, we've got thick lines. We can instantly see which objects are basically doing some work here and holding the roof up, and which bits are less important. Okay, and that, my friends, is how you get AutoCAD to work for you and get clean, crisp, presentable drawings. Okay, press escape to stop the preview, and OK to generate your PDF. Let's let it run through that, and there's the PDF with all the layers there as well. If you didn't want to see the layers in that manner, you would need to use a different PDF generator. Just a standard Adobe PDF generator would be more appropriate. Okay, hope that's been useful. Thanks for watching.